Hello, hello. Well, I'm kind of getting back to what I was doing before as my daily things. While they were fun, and I might still do some of that. I don't know. There's all this crap that gets in the way, and seriously, after announcing that I'm farming, yeah, my mind's kind of just changed, and I'll honestly probably get back to more things like that, especially once I actually get into the action of it, and I'm in the field and doing all that fun stuff. So that'll be fun. But I have a lot of crap to do, so timing isn't, time is a commodity, clearly. So I'm just gonna kind of do what I was doing before because it was easy and it's manageable, which is do a little video about the world, ag, my thoughts, and then do a little newsletter around it every week and just kind of keep it toned to that. So start off there. What I want to talk about this week is what's going to be the giant news of the week globally in agriculture, which is Agritechnica, the world's largest farm show. I've been there twice, and I'll say this. If you are passionate and care about agriculture, if you farm, if you're an ag business, I don't really care where, go to that show. That is one of the most impactful, important things in ag I've ever experienced. Everything you can imagine is there from every single type of agricultural situation from places, from companies all over the globe. Is it every single company? No. Um, some it's expensive to showcase stuff there and all that. But you get all walks of life, all different corners. Let's say the first year I went, which was I think 2007, then the last year I went, which was 2020 or 2019. I think it was 19. Things were a little different. First year I went, like every person was in a suit. Like even the farmers themselves are all in suits. It was kind of wild. And someone told me that before. They're like, just bring a suit and probably wear it the whole time or dress up. 19 as more casual for sure. Uh, so it's an interesting kind of change in vibe. And what it is this year, I don't know. It's probably a little depressed. Not saying ag is depressed everywhere, but there's a global like, oh, where is everything going? The majors are changing things, which means that's going to affect everything and everyone in some form or fashion. Of course, what I'm expecting there is probably a lot less talk about the United States and more talk with all the other countries that are trying to fill gaps and trying to compete because now they feel maybe they actually have a different story to tell. They, especially in the commodity world where it's expensive to grow commodities here compared to other places in the world. Of course, other places have different challenges, but there'll probably be plenty of talk about what that is and what that isn't. But nonetheless, huge show. So that's the first part is just talking about why it's important. And why that is important is first year I went, I thought I knew a good amount about agriculture. I didn't. I went there, I learned a lot. It broadens your worldview. You see things that you were just ignorant about. You're like, oh, well, crap. And that continued in 2019 when I went. Not as dramatic, but there's a lot of different pieces you soak in. You're like, oh, that's how they do that. Oh, well, that's interesting. Why don't we do this here? And there's all sorts of things. It gets your mind going. It makes you really understand that, especially for people in the U.S., more farmers need to go there because it really opens your eyes to not only the competitive landscape, but the passion of others. And you can see that and feel that, the culture of it, the agriculture. Um, it's pretty cool. So just that. Of course, get new connections. And ideas and all sorts of things there. So go if you haven't. If you do, uh, just observe, take it all in. Uh, it literally is an enormous show. Like, think of best way I've been able to explain it is think of the footprint of, say, a football field, but a little bit bigger. But let's say just a football field. So, but like the whole floor. So not necessarily 100 yards, but you're talking probably 150 yards end to end. With 75, 80 yards wide. So big. Um, you're talking 300 by 500-foot buildings here, full of equipment and ag stuff. And there's like 30 of them. It's maybe more than 30. I don't, you can look on a map. It's at the site of the former World's Fair back in the 90s or something, late 90s in Hannover, Germany. So it's always there every 2 years. It's enormous. It takes a week. It's a week-long show. It takes a week to get through everything. Literally, you just can't. I've never got through it all. Chris is busy talking, there are meetings and stuff too. But yeah, it's just enormous. There's nothing like it. So there's my spiel on just what it is. As for where I think things are probably going there, and what usually happens is like newer ideas and technologies get thrown out there, just like you see these concept vehicles at car shows like SEMA and big things like that, the Detroit Auto Show. Every industry has their, hey, look at what I'm thinking of show. Well, this is that one for the most part. And there's some wild stuff that comes out there, and there'll be some wild stuff that comes out here. And I'm guessing, just from some of the pictures I've already seen, because there's a preview day and like a media day, so stuff's gonna pop out here in the next, this whole week. More early on, because it attracts more people and gets people talking. It's good news media. Robotics are clearly going to be big. I mean, they were big in 2019. Actually, there was a smaller building in 2007 that had a bunch of robotics in it even. So it's nothing new. I mean, heck, in 2007, the John Deere unveiled an electric tractor, fully battery electric tractor that was kind of hovering on this giant track. And just so you know, the groups here, the major groups spend an insane amount of money for their displays there. I think the 2019 one, I heard it was somewhere in the $30-40 million range for what John Deere spent for their booth there. And Kloss was like similar, and Case is similar, and AGCO is similar. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. There's double decker like booth displays there, like second floor booth displays for meetings, and crazy stuff happens. Anyways, there's going to be a lot of that. And there's probably a good chance most of those things aren't really practical. A lot of it's done to get attention. Some of it is semi, useful and realistic, but there's plenty that's just fluff, because that's just how ag is. So I never look into too much of the big reveals there. Usually it's a newer model, bigger horsepower, bigger tires, bigger XYZ, bigger is better in ag. That's been the kind of the trope. But I would assume there's going to be a little bit of a push of scaling some of that down. It could be more power in a smaller package, I guess. It could be more efficiency in a smaller package. Stuff like that. The ag tech world over there is always kind of increased. It wasn't a lot when I went early years. Definitely a lot more in 2019. I'm sure it's even more so now. I think there's actually a whole room of like software providers and digital systems and sensors and all that these days. And there's plenty of that around everywhere. There's plenty of stuff that has nothing to do with what normal commodity ag is. There's forestry stuff. There's specialty crops. There's tons on animals and livestock. There's even like whole areas for just like the parts of ag equipment that are bought by just different OEMs of all various sizes. Think of like axles and transmissions, and differentials, and all that fun crap. I'm sure there's some cool new things there, probably with electricity, and turn this into that. Here's an electric drive for this. It's gonna be all sorts of fun stuff there. What I'm really curious is because it's been 2 years. In the last 2 years, been a lot on AI. So I'm assuming there's going to be a crap ton of things on AI there. AI powered this. Oh, AI powered fuel management on an engine. AI powered baler. I would just assume uh, that's going to be all the rage there, and probably a lot of it is just crap. Just to do it. Hard to say. Or it's an AI wrapper into something that just was always kind of a normal progression in computer engineering, basically, but it'll just be called AI. ML, they used to throw that in there, not anymore. LLM talk thing to operate your equipment automatically, or tell your cows what you're thinking, and then the robot will do it for milking them or something. It'll be all sorts of fun, stupid shit like that. So it'll just be interesting to see. As for what I hope comes out of it, that's maybe the kind of last part here. And let me grab my dogs before I get into that. A little more complicated conversation. Let's throw you in here, right? Here's Buddy. He's trying to be. He's the cuddler. Anyways, as for what I hope to be there, I hope probably the biggest thing is that with, call it, the chaos of the world, which there is plenty, um, that it's kind of a good uniting force of people of all shapes and sizes and types of farms and agriculture businesses and all of that. But it's a place that everyone kind of wants to like be together. It's not as like a competitive nature thing. I mean, there's clearly going to be plenty of competitive things there. It's an ag farm show, for God's sakes. Uh, equipment battling equipment people, businesses battling businesses. But I hope there's more of a sense of, we really want to solve some of these big problems in ag. We actually really have to work together. Nobody alone can do it. I mean, even the giants of the input suppliers world, they've finally realized through, I don't know, call it their arrogance, that they can't do that. They're splitting up. They're shifting that. Um, Even the OEMs are more willing to kind of work within other systems to a varying degree, but that they are. And I just hope that's kind of more of a trend, or a starting trend. It's like, okay, there's a lot more that needs to be done. So I hope that comes out of it. And I'm very interested too if a lot of talk will come around the seemingly reality that in major areas of the world there's population decline happening, and how that shifts how everything is there, how things are built, and stuff like that. Then you get into the health side. It's not really the place for that per se. My dogs might bark here. Some horses. Yeah, you get those horses. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, easy. the whole like making food healthier and better, more nutritious. I'm I'm hoping some of that conversation goes there and how that looks. I'm assuming, you know, 2 years ago was probably a lot more talk on sustainability, environmental stuff. I think I remember seeing that, all the good old heartfelt save the world type shit. I doubt it's as much this year. I'm sure it's a little more pragmatic. Um, but maybe there's more on the quality of stuff, traceability, um, adding extra value to different types of operations instead of just grow more, grow more, grow more. It's more like grow smart, showcase what you're doing, track what you're doing. Data's important. It's okay to share. You know, that's my hope. Will any of that be true? I don't know. Time will tell. But there's a need for that to happen. There's a need for more of ag to come together. There's a need for also the U.S. to rethink its positioning. That's a clear reality. It's happening all the time, but more so now, it seems, than ever. In the end, though, there's going to be a lot of jockeying for power and position at that show of who's the place to watch, who's the interesting players, who's the ones that are leading the stage, who are the followers, and does it really play out there exactly and work that way? I don't know if that does or not, but um, just pay attention and see what you see there and look into all the posts and what people are really talking about. Ask some questions because a lot of things happen there. A lot of information is shared. A lot of developments in the future are kind of showcased there. Observe a lot of it and look into it because it's probably what you're going to see coming or shifts, in narrative and design and engineering and all that. This is kind of the show for that. And that can showcase what's going to happen in the next few years in the giant world of agriculture. And I'm pretty sure my dog Dauber agrees with me. He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be really crazy, Dad. Yeah, I'm getting hungry." He's actually just getting hungry. But anyways, here's my little spiel for the week. Check out Agritechnica and all its fun glory. He's excited. You might as well be too. Talk to you later.